What she said first, 7 phrases that reveal a woman's guilty heart. The rain tapped softly on the windowpane as Daniel sat in the darkened living room, watching the streetlights flicker through the mist. It had been 3 days since the confrontation, 3 days since her words sank into his chest like an anchor. He remembered it so clearly. Not the moment he found out, but the moment he knew. That strange sixth sense. Her voice wasn't sharp like it used to be, her laughter had started to feel rehearsed, and most of all, her eyes never stayed on his for more than a second. But what shook him the most wasn't what she did. It was what she said first. Words reveal things silence tries to hide. And when someone is guilty, especially someone you love, their words can either be a mask or a mirror. This is Daniel's story, but it's also a pattern, one that plays out in countless relationships across the world. If you've ever been lied to, cheated on, or just felt something was off, these are the first phrases to listen for. They don't always come with malice, but they do come with meaning. Let's unpack what Daniel heard, and what it really meant. Phrase 1, you're being paranoid. That night, when Daniel quietly asked her, is there someone else? She didn't blink. Instead, she scoffed and said, you're being paranoid. This wasn't just deflection. This was gaslighting. By labeling his instincts as irrational, she subtly flipped the script. He was no longer a loving partner trying to understand the distance between them, he was now the insecure one, the one overthinking. Psychologists say this is one of the most common first reactions when guilt is present. It's not a confession, it's a counterattack. The aim? To make you doubt what you already know. Phrase 2, you're imagining things. A few days later, Daniel brought up how her phone habits had changed. How she now took calls in the bathroom. How she started smiling at text messages she wouldn't explain. She looked him dead in the eye and said, you're imagining things. This was another form of manipulation, but quieter. Less aggressive than paranoid, but equally potent. The truth? Her mind was already trying to rewrite his reality. Not because she hated him, but because facing the truth meant facing herself, and that was harder than anything else. Phrase 3, we've just been growing apart. This one came on a rainy Tuesday. Daniel had come home early, hoping to surprise her with dinner. Instead, he found her distant, distracted, her eyes full of unread messages she never planned to share. When he asked again, gently, this time, she sighed and said, we've just been growing apart. This phrase isn't always a lie. But in the context of infidelity, it becomes a justification. A way to place the blame on fate, on the slow erosion of love, rather than on her actions. It's emotionally disarming. It says, this isn't about betrayal, it's about inevitability. But Daniel knew better. They hadn't grown apart. She had walked away. Phrase 4, I didn't mean for it to happen. This was the moment she finally admitted it. Her voice broke. Her hands trembled. And the first thing out of her mouth was, I didn't mean for it to happen. This is the softest form of guilt, a gentle attempt to make betrayal look like a mistake rather than a decision. It's a way to say, I tripped into this. It wasn't intentional. I'm still a good person. But cheating isn't a stumble, it's a series of steps. Emotional first. Physical next. All chosen. All deliberate. When someone says this, they may be feeling real regret, but it's important to recognize what it doesn't do. It doesn't take ownership. Phrase 5, if you had just paid more attention to me. This one stung the most. Daniel remembered how his breath caught in his throat when she said it. If you had just paid more attention to me, this wouldn't have happened. It was a dagger dressed as a statement. This is emotional manipulation at its peak. It turns her betrayal into his failure. her loneliness into his fault, her choices into his consequences. It's designed to stir guilt, to confuse the victim, to make the cheated feel like the cheater. Daniel sat in silence for a long time after she said that. He wasn't perfect. He had been tired, distracted, overworked. But he never left. And he never lied. Phrase 6. How could you accuse me of that? Before the truth came out, when Daniel first confronted her with his suspicions, this was her reaction. How could you accuse me of that? It wasn't just a question. It was a performance. Outrage. Shock. Tears. This is a powerful tactic. It's not just about denial, it's about intimidating the question. By acting devastated by the mere accusation, she made Daniel feel like he had committed a wrong. It halted the conversation. It pushed his doubts back into silence. But silence doesn't mean peace. It only delays the truth. Phrase 7. Can we just forget this happened? This came later, after the truth had shattered the silence, after the apologies, after the tears. They were sitting on the couch, the air between them cold and still. She looked at him and whispered, "Can we just forget this happened?" And that's when Daniel finally understood something. Some people don't want healing. They want erasure. To forget means to pretend. To pretend means to avoid. And avoidance is the opposite of growth. The real lesson. Daniel didn't scream. He didn't break anything. He didn't even leave that night. He just stared at the woman he had loved, realizing that it wasn't the cheating that broke them. It was the words. The lies, the blame, the denials, the deflections. Infidelity doesn't begin in the body. It begins in the mind, with a story someone tells themselves to justify the damage they're about to do. And the first thing they say when caught often reveals the story they've been living, one where they are misunderstood, neglected, or simply couldn't help it. But every story has an ending. Daniel's ending wasn't loud or dramatic. He quietly packed his things. Left a letter on the table. And in it, he wrote, "I believed your words until I understood their weight. I blamed myself until I saw the patterns. I loved you enough to forgive you. But I love myself too much to stay." Final thoughts. If you ever suspect betrayal, pay close attention to the first thing someone says when confronted. Not because it proves guilt, but because it reveals the framework of their conscience. Are they defensive? Are they remorseful? Are they blaming you? Or are they finally ready to be honest? Because words don't just hide secrets. They expose souls. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Don't Give Up. Let's continue exploring life's challenges and insights together.